Welcome to Influence Unpacked with Marian Balinoff, the series where we explore what drives success in influencer marketing for mobile apps and games. Influence Unpacked is powered by AppsFlyer, bringing you insights from top marketers who innovate, elevate, and succeed.
So today I'm joined by Anna, Performance Marketing Manager at InnoGames. Hi, Anna. How are you doing?
Hi, Marian. I'm very glad to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Perfect. Amazing. So before we get started, I would like you to present yourself, present InnoGames. It's a massive company that many people know, but I think it's always good to have a brief overview of the company.
Thank you. Well, I'm at Inno just a little bit more than 3 years. At InnoGames, you can know this company by titles like Forge of Empires, and we have a fresh new hit. It's Heroes of History. That's one of the teammates that's responsible for launching and scaling right now. And yeah, we also known as Sunrise Village. We launched Cozy Coast. It's also a new title in the soft launch right now, Rise of Cultures and Elvenar. So maybe you know this title. So yeah, I'm very glad to be here. As a performance marketing manager, I am responsible for the paid marketing channels like Google, AppLovin, and also one of the teammates together with my beautiful colleague Shahar, who is also responsible for the influencer marketing. So we launched it and started to develop it for the Heroes of History last year. And this year started to get more and more interesting for us.
Okay. And so from the previous years, I remember seeing a lot of influencer marketing ads for a lot of your different titles. And from our earlier conversation, you've explained that InnoGames has stopped doing influencer marketing for a while, and now you've actually started again. So I would like to understand what made you stop and actually what made you start again.
I believe the way back when we stopped doing this, because we were focused only on performance marketing channels, when we can track fully our conversions, understand where registrations are coming from, and understand how they perform. So the ROAS was the main factor here. So if we could not measure this properly with our tools like our MMPs, if it could not be measured, we could not say if it's good or not. That's at some point in time, we said, okay, we can't measure influencer marketing. We should stop it because the performance potentially was not showing the best ROAS as it could. And we could not properly attribute organic uplift for that. So this was the main issue with influencer marketing. And now we started again with the Heroes of History because, again, this is the main new title and this hit. And also we see that this has a lot of potential and we want to increase our presence and understand better if we could increase our organic with influencer marketing. And we started with small budgets to understand what type of platforms is working for us for better type of incentive is working. Step by step, we are understanding our strategy on this market and what brings us the influencer marketing right now.
Okay, and so I understand, obviously, and it's the main problem for many studios, the measurement part, right? As you were explaining, what has changed between the previous campaigns and now, and how are you managing to measure better or attribute better the performance?
Well, I would say potentially we could measure it better with organic uplift, with understanding better when the campaign for the influencer started. And we see the great uplift for mobile, for instance, and for browser sometimes. It is also happening. And we see when campaign stops, it stays for some time and then also dropped. Of course, we need to get rid of spikes because of the featuring on the app stores, because of another like CRM activities, maybe something that happened in the game that could lead for this type of organic. But most of the time now we can see this organic uplift because in the beginning, when we just started, it was only tracking by MMP links. That's it. We understand that on the small budget, there was no organic uplift. So that started to happen after some budget. And when it started to happen, you understand, oh, that's what I was missing.
That makes sense. It's always the question of spending enough to actually see that uplift. Do you have any sort of advice for a marketer that is looking into influencer marketing and to actually make a visible spike in their organics?
There is a budget threshold. It is. For us, it was around, and not maybe the budget. It's not in the budget, but amount of registrations and even about amount of impressions that you're able to get with this budget. So you can say the same budget, but you can use it effectively or not. But if you get out above, for instance, 6 million of impressions or even more or higher with the quality content that potentially converts better to the registrations. So we got in 1 month, around 1,000 of tracked conversions, and that showed us uplift in 3 times. So that was the time when we say, okay, that is it. Because last campaign was about like 600 conversions in the month, and there was nothing. So the difference is not that big, like 2 times, but the uplift is there.
Yeah, exactly. And so you were saying 3 times as a multiplier from track to organic. So that's also within the average that I see for all the games, between 3 to 5. It really kind of depends also on the title, on the audience that you're targeting. And so, as we were saying, it's all about the budget, but it also depends on, as you were saying, the levels of organics, levels of registration that you have in the country that you're targeting. Because between a small game that you just launched and maybe an older game that has an inflow of organic users, obviously your spending is not going to be the same. But at least people can understand and make the calculations, basically, as you were saying, based on that level of organics with some different conversion rates that you can see. And also it will depend on the country, on the platform. And so it makes it a little bit complicated for people that have never done it before. But that's why I think it's important to also look into people that have done it before and that maybe can share some numbers. So from my experience, I could share at least for first few campaigns, and again, it will depend on the type of game, but at least people can make some estimation of like 0.25% conversion rate in the US, let's say, on YouTube from views to installs. And so they can estimate then how many impressions do you need, how many views on those videos do you need to reach to enough installs additional to your organic baseline, let's say. And then based on this number of impressions that you need, we see how much do those impression cost, right? And this is, as you were saying, really depend on the market, the type of influencer as well. And so that's why influencer marketing is still kind of a black box for many people, because there are so many components and there are no benchmarks available out there, right?
And this is so volatile. When you see on one influencer and his video performs on average pretty well and you expect this amount of views, and when you post the video with your integration, this surprisingly performs not that well. And you're like, it is a black box, and this is very volatile depending on so many factors. Sometimes it takes time with each and every integration. So to make it as a system that works as a paid marketing channel, it is not. It has so many moving parts that also stars need to align, unfortunately, for some reason here.
Exactly.
So you cannot make it with you need to pour a lot of budget. Like some companies are just pouring budget with the knowledge. This is like the rule of big numbers. So as much budget you pour into it, something will definitely strike back and you can have a very nice ROAS.
Exactly. But then for those who don't necessarily have the big budget, or at least cannot afford to spend that much in a single campaign, it's about pacing yourself and being patient in a way. From your perspective, I don't know if you've reached a point where you can actually say that influencer marketing is a performance channel as an acquisition channel, but how long would you say it can take from your perspective?
It depends. It depends again on how fast you learn, how much you test. So if you have every month some budget to test and you test different channels and you understand, okay, here we have a very more or less stable conversion rate and CPIs are more or less in this range. So you can project these numbers. Or if you have a very volatile budget and very volatile influencers that are differently performing them. Today you test this vertical, tomorrow this vertical. This inconsistency can generate a lot of results, but not much learning. So structured tests, understanding what to believe and what not to believe in numbers and what to take as a truth that you can follow back. And that's it.
What do you mean by that? Like what to believe and what not to believe?
So
would you say go ahead.
Some numbers like conversion rates can widely vary from influencer to influencer. It depends on how they show the game, for instance. Some ones show that this amazing one show that they very interested in that and they want to play it and want others to play. And conversion rates are very high. Others just do the normal integration as an ad and everybody just click through. So conversion rate will be low. And sometimes this happened vice versa, unfortunately. Sometimes you have a very good content and it doesn't convert at all. So you just miss the audience and
So
you start to
frustrating,
understand.
right?
Yes. So sometimes you say, okay, no, I can't just believe these conversion numbers. No, can't. I can
Yeah,
say it for them.
exactly. And that's why, like, as you were saying, like, there's so many different moving parts that can impact the performance that it's really, really important to take a step back and not look at the performance from a single influencer and be like, this is our golden influencer and we need to find everyone that is going to be similar to them. Because on paper, you're going to find one that is exactly the same in terms of obviously platform, audience demographic, engagement rate, tone of voice, type of content. One perform extremely well, the second really not. And it's like, I don't understand. How do I replicate that? Right. And the thing is that you cannot sometimes, and it's not that easy. It's not like, oh, I've got this amazing creative. I can just tweak it a little bit and it will work. Right. So that's why I'm usually telling people, look at it from a vertical level, right? Types of content. So let's say true crime, let's say history, let's say military, whatever it is, and try to understand with enough data whether or not this vertical has potential for your game and if this is something that you can scale. Because if you find one influencer that is great, you cannot scale that. It's not like you're going to be able to book this influencer every month and they're going to deliver great performance all the time, right?
Exactly. So you can book it several times and then you see how performance is just declining. You're like, I need to find a new one and a new one and make them not one of them, but 10 and 100 of them. And that's where it started to get complicated. It's not scalable, easy way. So it should be scalable on the more tests, more, as you said, verticals. Verticals actually showing aggregated data. You can say, okay, like history for us is working quite well. And gaming for us is also working quite well with the different conversion rates, but also with the different SLTVs. So history, we have higher conversion rates, but we have a little bit lower SLTVs. And the gaming is the other way around. So it's maybe hard to convince a gamer to test a new game, but when they do this properly. So
Exactly.
yeah. And also it's a lot into communication with agencies because agencies, they're different. In the beginning, I was more of okay, they do stuff similarly, but also with the same, when you start to go in the higher pace, you see the difference. They have different approaches and how they manage that, how they manage negotiations. Could they give you better price or not? And the small details, that's getting where the difference is actually.
Yeah. So as I understand, you're not that many people in the team working on influencer marketing, which is often the case, even sometimes that you don't even have people that are dedicated to that, and that's your case as well. So the question is scaling. How do we scale that, right? And so that's when you're explaining that you're working with different agencies. There are good ones, there are bad ones. Any advice or things that people should look for when talking to agencies? Because there are millions of them. So how do you find the right ones? How do you find the ones that are going to help you deliver good campaigns?
It's a feeling sometimes. When you talk with them, you have understanding that they know what they're talking about. So when they start to operate within numbers of CPMs, conversion rates, we did this integration and we delivered this results. And we will find you this influencers who worked very well on this type of games that is similar to yours. So you see that they know what they're talking about. And sometimes they understand what type of content is going better for this particular influencer. And sometimes it's even better when they show, okay, we have a very good connection with this particular influencers you want, and we can get you a better bundle. And that's another level. So you see, okay, now they're not talking about this is a hygienic minimum, because below that, it's like, we can do this ourselves. And above, it's going, yeah, they have an extra added value by having good relationship. And this good relationship is actually helping us to get better prices. And better prices mean lower CPIs, better performance.
Clearly. Do you think it means like you need necessarily to find agencies that have experience in mobile gaming so they can have this experience and understand your KPIs, but also potentially sign bundle deals and have those prices lower? Or do you think an agency with other types of experience can also deliver good performance here?
I would maybe, I don't know, but my personal opinion here, I would prefer agencies who are working with mobile titles and mobile gaming, because I think it's a little bit hard when it's another type of product that you are promoting, when you're like a real product that you can send this product to the influencer and have an unpackaging or something like a test or something. With the mobile games, you potentially can do the same, but not everyone is doing this. There is some specificity in this. When they know this, Then they work with the different titles, especially, for instance, they work with the strategies, with the RPGs, with the gacha games that we are interested in. That's a big plus for us because they know that there are some tricks in the game that they can be very impactful for the players who are interested in this type of content, that we can show it to them. So they can help with the brief as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that that's also one of the reasons why you want to work with agencies, is because they've worked on many other titles and they supposedly should be able to share best practices in terms of brief, in terms of exactly like the whole process, reviewing the content and everything. So we've talked about the setup. You're working with agencies to help you scale. How did your strategy look like at the beginning when you just got started? And is it different to where you're at now?
Yes and no. So I think when we started with practices that were advised us by our colleagues from other companies within MTG Group, like Plarium, and also from market agencies. Everybody's doing YouTube integrations, right? Okay, let's start with that. Like test the verticals that potentially would be good for us. And we started with that. But then we understand there is a plenty more type of social media, plenty type of more different types of integration. So we go broad, and we are still testing, and we still plan to test. But as soon as we started to test, we understand, okay, this is not working for us, and this is not working for us. So we again narrowed down to some more streamlined YouTube integrations. We back to that.
So it's working. Okay.
It's working. And Twitch. It also was
Twitch. Okay.
Yes, we started it from the very beginning. It was like second campaign on Twitch, and it was profitable from the tracking links, which was
Only. Okay. Wow.
what? Yeah, for us it was a surprise. And then we start to work on that more. But also
Can you tell me more about Twitch? Because I've never had a guest like running that like campaigns on Twitch. So I would love to hear what's the setup, because obviously on Twitch you have a lot less views than you get on YouTube because like concurrent viewers. So how do you make it work pricing wise? How does the pricing look like? And what type of content is it? Like, do you work on like really long stream and the streamer plays several times? Like how does it look like?
Well, again, that was in the very start. So we relied a lot on our agency, and agency actually advised us to make a challenge for the players, to make something going with alliances within the game. So every streamer can say, I got an alliance, come with me, and we will go through this type of live ops, what we have in the game, together, and if we win, we can get on top some rewards. So yeah, we had 3 streams. One is introductory, second one is starting the challenge, the third one is like propelling the challenge till the end.
And those were dedicated streams where they were playing?
No, there was 30 minutes within other streams. Yeah, so it should be overall like 2 hours, so they can put 30 minutes in the first, 1 hour and 1 hour, something like that. So it depends on the streamer, but they have to stream for 2 hours altogether. And the prices were the fixed prices. So it was nothing about the views or about the revenue share, but it was fixed prices. They were not that big, especially compared to YouTube integrations. Also, the type of streamers we took, the middle type of streamers. So it was not very small ones, but something in between, but not huge ones. And they were mostly streaming games like strategies again, and something like city builders or hero collection or RPGs or something like that. Again, the audience was interested in this type of game, so we activated them. They were interested in this type of content, and that's why it did work out. The second time we tried it without the challenge, and it didn't. So the challenge is quite crucial.
Makes sense. And for the winning team or alliance, the added reward, was it something in the game or was it something outside of the game?
It was in the game. So we added a reward. After that, we collected all the player IDs and everything. And we did a separate campaign for them to give them an extra reward in the game.
That's amazing. And how many people did you have in each of those alliances?
Somewhere around 200. So it's not that much. But it was quite significant in terms of SLTVs, and the campaign was quite kind of small in terms of budget, but in the end it was profitable.
And are you going to try to replicate this on a much bigger scale with the live ops, with the competition?
We try to just test it out how the Twitch will perform on its own without any challenge. And that wasn't a very huge success, I would say. So just streaming the game, how does it play? It doesn't work. So the activation, it's crucial. And potentially in the next rounds, we would like to use more live ops on that. But we need to change the structure for that because next time probably won't be that interesting. Or we want to introduce new features in the game with that. So we will be waiting for the new features to come, and then we will go full scale on this, showing to the audience how to play it.
That makes sense. And how was it complicated to actually put this first campaign together with the live ops, with the alliances and everything? Because sometimes when you start talking about like in-game integrations or like more like bigger competitions, then there are a lot of moving pieces and can scare marketers away or even product people.
No, it wasn't actually. It was we explained how this feature in the game is working, what they need to do for that, like step 1, 2, 3, 4, and how many people they can have, because also our alliances are only 20 people, so we can do several of them. But also, if we need more people, we need more alliances. So it's a little bit, there is a lot of requirements and restrictions, but the streamers themselves nailed it. I would say that they did quite well, and they showed that they made far with their team. And this is good because it's a teamwork. So it's good that aligns with all of the players who connected with the streamer itself, see their results on the stream, and are happy to contribute to the success. And at the end, they got a prize for that. Yeah, that's from the perspective of the player. It was very interesting to participate in that. But for us to scale it more, we need potentially a little bit different structure, or better, a different feature for the game.
Yeah, that makes sense. But I would, definitely advise anyone, like, if there is in any way a possibility to involve, obviously, the influencers' audience with them towards a similar goal, that's what's going to make the difference. Because anything like, we're working with influencers who are influencing people. So that's what we should really leverage as best as we can in order to maximize the campaign results. So we've talked about Twitch, seems to be working really well. If you do in-game integrations, we've talked about YouTube. Anything else besides those two platforms that seem to be working for you?
We were surprised once we had a YouTube live once, because it should be Twitch integration, but at some point the streamer said, but I can't do Twitch today, but I can do YouTube live. I have a channel. And we look at the channel is bigger than Twitch, and we're like, why are you asking? Do that. Of course. He made it live for 2 hours playing the game, and that was a huge success. So that was amazing. So while playing 2 hours of the game that is also available like on browser, so he played on browser, it's getting past the tutorial, past the boring stages. It's getting interesting. More heroes, more battles, more challenges for that. And that's where the audience started to come by and say, oh, I thought that this game is like that, but it isn't, and it's interesting. And we got a huge amount of registrations, and I haven't seen that Rose for influencer marketing, tracked one.
Yeah, I bet. Is this something you've managed to replicate in a way?
We are trying to do it right now. So we are looking at the channels who are doing live, YouTube live right now, and trying to get to this type of content more and more, that they can do the long form content of streaming of the gameplay, maybe not from the very start, but even from the after tutorial or something. And to try to replicate this content, because again, I see that, and this guy who generated like good amount of registrations, he also was specialized on the city builders like Civilization, SimCity, and strategies like that. So it was his theme, and we were just like a butter there. So that was our place where we belong, and that's why it's also worked.
Perfect match, basically.
Yeah, we need to find the places where we belong.
Yeah. And so it actually leads me to my next question. Do you have any sort of advices for people, again, starting out? How do you find the most relevant influencers? What are you looking for in those creators? What are the KPIs that you're looking at? Is it also gut feeling? Like, what's the share between both?
Well, first of all, we're starting to get rid of what is definitely no. So even if we are about history, we try to not go to the news or like some very political opinions on the both sides, and also like some dark history. It's maybe not also our audience, but we try to find the channels who done this before with the mobile games, and if they had a good performance or not. If they had this integration 2 times or more, it gives us a hint that potentially this integration was working. So they started to work with them one more time. So this potentially can be very good for our audience as well. So the similar games, similar type of game.
And
And
how do
also-
you find this? Do you ask agencies like to provide you with influences and give you like examples of the integrations that they've done, or how is it?
Yeah, that's one thing. And also we have a tool that collects the data, and we can like spy a little bit on our competitors and where they're coming out with the different influencers, at least on YouTube integration. So we can see, okay, we see this a lot for one game, for instance, and then I can say, okay, let's check it out if it fits to our audience or not. Yeah.
Is this an internal tool or something that people can
No,
have
that
access to?
we just we are working with Influence with that.
Okay. Very nice. Have you ever tried with Upfluence like to find out from your player base using their email addresses, and again like to discuss the legal side of this, but I think it is finding out of your player base if anyone is actually an influencer, and so you can reach out to them.
Ask me in a couple of weeks
Okay.
about that, because
Nice.
that's on my list. I actually, before I went on vacation for a week, I was just like starting to get very hands-on on Influence, and now we are having a lot of information there. But this exact feature, I need to get my hands on yet.
Yeah, because this is something that I've been looking into with them, because I used to work with them at Upfluence. I was the 5th employee actually, so that's a nice story. So I know them very well. And I was discussing this also with another company that does exactly the same. And I think it is basically such a powerful way to find creators, because obviously if they already play your game, they're going to be so much more engaged, and they're going to know the game so much better than any influencers that you're just going to reach out to, right? So the content is going to be better. It might be even cheaper for you to work with them, because you can just reward them with anything in the game that will be interesting to them, versus a person that has never played the game.
Exactly. So I'm really looking forward for that, and I'm really looking forward to the small integrations with they also kinda can help with the affiliate program, which influencer marketing is one thing when you buy a content piece within their content, but I would like to buy on some regular basis more performance marketing based results like affiliate. When you pay by CPIs or the purchases for the creators, they can just integrate your product in their content on their own terms. So you don't need to provide them assets and everything. They play, they like, they can give you an ad, and you can pay them for that. So I'm more than open for that type of content.
Will you be reviewing the content before it goes live, or is it more about like them posting whenever they want because they're paid on a CPI basis?
Yes, of course, we need to review, because sometimes if you see the fraud, this is the fraud and you need to block it out. But also maybe it's good to move towards more purchase-based type of incentive, then it won't be the problem.
I would love
Of course,
that,
it could be.
honestly. CPI campaigns would be the best. There were a bunch of different platforms that were doing that, but from my experience, they only had influencers with really young audiences, and so yes, you would get installs, but then the quality of those installs were not so great. So I'll definitely reach out to you once you've launched those campaigns and see if there's potential in there.
Yeah, because I'm curious what else we can do here, because integrations is still the vast field of testing and understanding what work, what not. One of the future tests, what I want to test it out, not to provide to influencer any assets. Like you have a game and that's it. So you maybe have a brief, but also that's it. Because sometimes what I feel that whenever you provide assets, that the integration is looking like your assets. And that's frustrating kind of thing. So yeah, because
Of course.
you can buy the place on YouTube cheaper before your video. That's also can be done, but I need
There's
your
so
opinion.
many things. Yeah, exactly. So many things to test. You need to prioritize. You need to try to understand what's going to have the best performance, obviously. And so, talking about performance, is there anything that you've implemented in your campaigns where you've actually seen, like concretely, like a massive difference in performance?
Good question. I would say that what we already discussed with the Twitch campaign and inclusion the audience into the content, that's the massive difference. Now we included promo codes because we have not have it before. Now we have an opportunity to do that. I would say that did not move much in needle. It did a lot for the tracking, but I would not say that that's a massive improvement in terms of the conversion rate yet.
Yes,
So
because it's all
yes.
about testing, right? So,
Yes.
like, I guess you've tested one type of reward. You're going to be testing other types and see.
Yeah. So that's also what we will be testing. But rather than that, try with different type of content. So asset-wise, without assets, promoting the live ops, not promoting the live ops, and trying to find the message that we want to conduct to the audience. So, for instance, for Heroes of History, we also try to conduct the message that your city would not be destroyed. This is not a 4X game. So you can sleep tightly and be sure that your city will be safe after your night. This is a very big difference between other 4X games that also on the market, where there's an extermination part of the game is involved.
Yeah, no, definitely. And so I would love also to look ahead, because we've had a discussion on LinkedIn recently because of the new changes that YouTube is rolling out for creators. One of them is the dynamic insertion. Like we see for podcast, potentially influencers can now on YouTube, change basically the integrations that they have in their integration in their videos. So how do you think this can impact influencer marketing as we know it now, especially because we were saying YouTube integration is the biggest part as of today of what we're doing?
Well, I would say that it may also not only impact how we measure the success, as also said that YouTube integrations have a long tail right now. So they are forever there, and you can have this installs forever. And we see this effect because after we have in April campaign, we still see registrations from this campaign. And this is amazing. You didn't pay for that, but they're there. And this is not organic. This is tracked ones. Of course, it's piled up organic effect. Wherever you go, you will see these ads everywhere. But with these changes, potentially can lead to change of the payment and incentive. So I can say that if the influencer will have money, can get money not on the fixed basis, but on the revenue share or for results. So he will put the most resulting campaigns in the newest videos. So potentially for the companies like us who are advertising here, it wouldn't be interesting to pay one time. It would be interesting to say, okay, if it's like in podcast right now, you're just saying it will stay for 30 days. If you want to prolong, you can pay more. But what about result-based? If we can say, if your campaign is very good and you make it good one, we can give you a share every time we got money, like for 1 year, for instance. That would be good for the win-win for the both sides.
Yeah, exactly. And also I'm wondering how scalable is this going to be? Like, are we going to need individual conversation with each of those influencers, or are we going to have some sort of platform where we can buy in bulk? Because in podcasts, you only have companies that you talk to, so it makes it easier. They have inventories of like thousands of shows. For influencers, it's a lot more segmented. It makes it a lot, also one of the reasons why it's also so time consuming. So I'm wondering how the industry might change in that sense.
I actually have a feeling that Google is going to, I would say, very loud word, revolutionize the influencer marketing, because it's also doing something on the Google Ads side. If you know what I'm talking about, you can now check the performance of your influencer campaigns, if they accept that, how they performed on YouTube in the Google Ads. So potentially they want to integrate that you can do influencer marketing within Google Ads, and it will become a paid channel. So you're paying these integrations. Potentially it will work like TTCC for TikTok. So you're starting a campaign, they're creating content, they put it on, it performs for some time. If it's like you stop the campaign, the content go out. So yeah. And also they would not allow anymore the links in the YouTubes. But Google it will take time. We can have some years
to get ready and anticipate the change.
I have a feeling that a couple of years we have, maybe a bit more, because TTCC, it's also took some time for the TikTok to make it work. So yeah, but that's where they are going, I believe.
Yeah,
it's for good or for bad.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we'll have to see, like, for which side is it more advantageous in the future. To wrap up the episode, let me ask you 3 questions, and I want your answers top of mind, okay? First one, what's one thing marketers should stop doing in influencer marketing?
Just put budgets on that without thinking.
Perfect. Exactly. I think it's really about setting up your campaign in order for it to make sense, right? Because otherwise there's no chance that you can measure your organics. Even if you have a little bit budget, maybe it's just throwing money out of the window. Definitely makes sense. What's one strategy, tool, or tactic that you think marketers should start applying today?
Testing, and put some stakes on this testing. So the more testing you get, the more results and fires you will find.
Exactly. And the more data you can rely on, it's not just one influencer or your gut feeling telling you this is good or bad. Final question. What's one proven approach you think marketers should continue using for long-term success?
Measuring organic uplift. That's important. Not only relying on tracking links, but adding organic uplift on top as well.
I think it's the most important part, because even if it is not 100% accurate, you will be missing so much traffic if you don't look at the organic, so your campaigns will never have a chance at reaching profitability. Definitely agree. All right. Well, thank you so much, Anna, for being here today and sharing your knowledge. Where can people find you and learn more about what you do?
You can find me on LinkedIn and connect me there, and I will be happy to talk to you.
Amazing. And that's the idea, right? Like, for people that are starting, talk to people who have done it before, who have already, seen some results, that can share some learnings, help you set up your campaigns in the right way. So that's it for today's episode of Influence Unpacked. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like, share, and follow for quick actionable tips on influencer marketing for mobile apps and games. And if you're looking to dive deeper, check out my guide on the AppsFlyer website. It covers everything from setting up your first campaign to best practices and tools to measure success. You'll find the link in the post, and I'll see you next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.